Much. We'll see you again in the next hour. Let's get into our regulars now, and I think we're going to start off with our stories of the day and see what is going to be dominating the news diary for the SABC and other news agencies. Here we go. State capture inquiry will hear evidence today from ANC MP Vincent Smith relating to allegations that he received security upgrades and other benefits from Bosasa over a 3-year period starting in 2015.
And then the DA is to brief the media on its virtual policy that the party will convene.
And those are your COVID numbers, the information lines 0800 029 999 and the WhatsApp service 0600 123 456.
Right, let's take a look at those provincial statistics and the provincial breakdown, starting with Gauteng, 211,678 positive cases. KwaZulu-Natal, 114,034. The Western Cape standing at 105,582. In the Eastern Cape, they've reported 86,489 positive cases of COVID-19. Free State, 38,869. The Northwest has 25,816. 24,746 cases recorded in Mpumalanga. Limpopo, 13,488. And Northern Cape, 11,313. And the total number of tests conducted to date, 3,747,101.
Right, some trending topics now. Let's have a look at the one that, of course, is sitting on the top of the list of trending topics this morning, and it's unfortunately justice for Kagiso. And this is a 18-year-old young girl who was murdered by her boyfriend, and this is an all too familiar story, unfortunately, in South Africa. So this is what I'm reading here. 18-year-old Kagiso Kale was murdered by her boyfriend in Madiba Mokopane. Kagiso, an 18-year-old teenager, and the boyfriend has been identified by this particular article, and I'll leave it there. We're not carrying this in our news, so I'm not too sure about the details of this. But I just see that this is topping the list here. It's saying it's Kagiso joining a sad list of fallen angels in South Africa as she was found murdered in her mother's house after having a conflict with her boyfriend. The two were in a 3-year relationship. So sad.
It certainly is sad. And people also lamenting on how many of these hashtags that we will be seeing justice for this one, that one. And, at what point do we say it's enough as a nation? Right, moving on to the next one. And our question of the day also relates to this. Hashtag Nomvula Mokonyane. And she was at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry yesterday. And boy, was that interesting. Nomvula Mokonyane, Bosasa-related testimony, and so much was said. But of course, Nomvula, like so many before her, had a bit of amnesia on some of these issues that she couldn't remember. But I think most notably that most people are pointing out she didn't remember her 40th birthday party, and amongst other things. So
it's just so difficult. I mean, I was also, I think we were all listening to this, and it's difficult to understand how. I mean, if there's a few birthdays I remember, I don't, remember many of them, but the big ones, like the 40th, I remember, and I remember it so well.
I remember my 40th.
And coincidentally, it also happened to be a surprise. And I sure as hell know who paid for my surprise birthday party and who then organized it and the conversations that went on afterwards and the excitement. But that was something that she said. But another talking point besides the birthday parties was the Aston Martin issue, because that again came up. And I'm reading a couple of tweets related to the hashtag Nomvula Mokonyane. This one from Nomboniso Gasa saying, "We are a family that has got friends who understand our pain of always being deprived of opportunities." And that was to quote Nomvula Mokonyane, who was explaining how her friends paid 2.2 million rand deposit for her Aston Martin.
The 3 million rand Aston Martin.
It's unbelievable.
But I think what I found particularly distasteful about that and disturbing was once again the lack of moral and ethical leadership consideration, where Nomvula Mokonyane speaks very glibly about a deal at Telkom, a tender that her husband was expecting, along with Thaba Mufamadi. And Thaba Mufamadi, if you'll remember, was the guy who was said to be involved with Panti Tlakula during the time of the IEC building release tender, that sort of thing. So the whole issue of politically exposed individuals and again politicians and their family members doing business with the state is something that really needs to be addressed.
It's awful. It really is. And I mean, this is screaming to it in a very, very big way. And just, that's the question of the day, in fact, asking you for your views on what you thought of Nomvula Mokonyane's testimony yesterday. Then, of course, the other trend, which is quite interesting, is if I were president and if I was the president, that's the trend that people are speaking to. And I've seen some people talking about what they would do if they were president, about fixing up schools, doing this, doing that. And I suppose everyone having a conversation about that one. What would you do if you were the president of the country?
And I suppose if you like, you could join in. What would you do if you were president of the country? And the final one, this is Friday.
A Friday regular.
Irregular. Hashtag Futek ANC. And it's become a thing now because people are trying to get in there before the ANC says anything on a Friday. Because some weeks back, the ANC started to get this trend going of hashtag ANC Fridays. And it backfired spectacularly, as you can see. And it seems this one has won the battle.
There you go. Here, I'm just going back again to the if I was, as we go into the headlines. Here's one for the SABC, unfortunately. I am going to read it. It's called TBG Morningstar, saying, if I was the president, I'd sign an order that ensures the SABC stops playing nonsensical Chinese karate movies on the weekend. I haven't seen those. Instead, I'd force them to play local South African movies so that our own artists can benefit from royalties. Okay, there we go. There's one tweet read for you. So I must watch these Chinese karate movies over the weekend. I didn't realize we played them. All right, just gone 6:30. Let's get into our news headlines, South Africa.